So, after Rangers' brutal draw against Aberdeen at the weekend, I went onto Twitter to see what everybody else in the Rangers community had to say about that game. Just before we jump into this, I want to again remind you that we do have the BlueSea channel memberships there. It's a great way to support us and help us put a bit back into the content, invest a bit more in the content, and ultimately make the content better for you guys. The link to that's down in the description. If you want to join that would be great. But let's see what everybody had to say about the game. So first up, we've got 1872 MBS, who said Beale actually highlighted this last season in one of his pressers, said we made loads of chances but we don't take them. That's why signing Dessers, who scored 7 goals last season, and Lammers, who scored 2 goals last season, was absolutely mind-boggling, especially when it was the guts of 8 million. If you wonder why we haven't fixed this issue, then there is approximately 8 million reasons. Now obviously during the excitement of new players coming in, obviously always they have the backing of the Rangers support regardless of, within reason, who it is, and Lammers and Dessers were a couple of those players. But it's only in hindsight when you look at the way the players have played in previous seasons and obviously the way they're performing now to back up that opinion, it's no wonder a lot of Rangers fans are annoyed with the output of these two players. And I've been annoyed as well. In the past I've said there's definitely a player in there with Lammers, not so much Dessers, but Lammers, and I feel like there is. But at this point, a lot of the time, you're only ever seeing, again, opinions on Lammers in a negative way. And even when you watch the games, you're not really sure of how he's affecting the game, what he's doing in the game, what his role is in the game. And it was a big highlight in the Beale era because, well, let's be honest, we didn't know what any of the team were doing or what anybody's role was in the team, and it was no surprise to see that Lammers was one of those players as well. Now we thought when Clement come in that we might see a bit of a better output, but that hasn't really came to fruition yet. And well, I mean, I hope all players that we've got currently so far end up coming good, but it's looking less likely for Dessers and Lammers with the performances so far. We haven't really seen a massive change between Beale's era and the Clement era so far, so they've got a lot of work to do. Now second up, Sky Sports reported that Ross McCausland has finally signed a contract with Rangers. This contract runs until summer 2027, and let's be honest, it's absolutely great news no matter which way you look at it, because in the past, well, Billy Gilmore's an example, we've ended up with our young players coming through the academy, being on the brink of the first team, and then either repeatedly loaning them out or just letting them go for a compensation fee. And the fact that McCausland, who is shown probably the most promise out of any player that's broke into the first team over the past couple of years, it would have been a massive blow to eventually let him go to another side for such a small fee with the amount of potential he's got to impact in this squad. But as I've heard a lot on Twitter, the work for McCausland starts right now. It's up to him to make sure he squeezes his way into this team and stays there, keeps a hold of that shirt, and it's up to Rangers and the coaches and the management team to nurture that talent. There's absolutely no point in him signing this contract for him to get a couple of games in and out the team, 15 minutes here and there, maybe 60 minutes here and 30 minutes there. There's absolutely no point in it. It's only got to hamper his development, not giving him the chance for a decent run of games to settle into the team, to show what he's about. So hopefully we do it the right way this time. So we've got another one, August 1st, 2020, Aberdeen 0, Rangers 1, over 3 years later. And we just started the exact same back four against Aberdeen yesterday. This is criminal. I mean, yeah, it's been pretty much a common theme over the past couple of years. I don't really think we've brought in a huge amount of players that have completely changed the squad in general, completely changed the spine of the squad. It seems to me that no matter who we pull in, there are players that are doing a bit here and there, but there's no one that's actually managed to topple the spine of the team, and that's what fans are ultimately really, really looking for. They're looking for a player to come into the squad and turn heads and take shots. That's what we want, a battle for competition, but it seems to me that we've always eventually ended up going back to the old guard, and this proves it. I mean, well, we're in 2023, bordering 2024, and we've got the same back four going. And I know there's been a lot of criticism for the likes of Goldson, Tav, especially Barisic, and the fact that Balogun came back. Every single player in that back four has had their periods, they've had their ups and downs, they've had their criticisms, and it's just, to me, it's just a bit weird that after all this time we've still got the same back four. Now obviously there's players in there that have been pretty solid and took us to some incredible moments for Rangers, you know, Goldson, Tav, Barrett, like 55s in there, the European runs in there, but again, domestically, after that 55, we haven't really been able to keep that mentality, that winning mentality, those big moment mentalities as a theme, and ultimately we've paid the price for it. Now obviously there's been a lot of debate on Tav and on Goldson, on Balogun, on especially Barisic, but what I want you to do is let me know what you think of that back four. As a players that you would actually keep in there as a full back four, something you'd like to change, or would you keep elements of it in there? Obviously for me, even though I've slated them in the past, especially under Beale, I think Tav has always popped up in the big moments for us. Yes, there is a debate around the captaincy, but at the end of the day there's no doubt Tav is a good player, and when we are that desperate that we need a goal, we need a player to step up and put a couple of special moments together, Tav has more often than not been that player. But let me know in the comments what you think. So we've got a tweet from the fourth official which says, draw by Rangers at Aberdeen, status quo when it comes to the title race, as Rangers definitely let an opportunity pass after Celtic could only manage a draw yesterday. Also shows that this squad needs a lot of refreshing in the January transfer window. Now this isn't really something we don't already know, but it kind of, after a game like that, it just reinforces the fans' opinion that a refresh is definitely needed. And in the past couple of windows, again, we've kept that spine of the team and we've refreshed round about it, but after the way things are going domestically and those big moments popping up domestically in the league, and yet time and time again, whenever Celtic have actually managed to drop points and drop a bit of form and they're looking a bit shaky, Rangers have always followed that game with a game of their own, and we end up not being able to close the gap. We end up blowing it almost, and it's nowhere near good enough. These are the moments that at the end of the day decide titles. These are the moments where you can prove to the fans, right, we're going to put our foot in the gas here, we're going to go for it, we're going to close the gap. And as I said before, if we wanted to win this league this year, those are the opportunities you need to take. Now, what do I want for the January transfer window? Again, I'll reinforce the point that I want us to attack the spine of this team. I want us to bring in players that are challenging that old guard and possibly either forcing better performances in these moments or completely forcing change in terms of the output of the team. Because right now we cannot keep going on with giving up these kinds of opportunities. It's just not sustainable. We're never going to win titles, we're never going to win silverware if this keeps happening, and that's the end of it. And this is a big one from Four Lads Had a Dream. In isolation, yesterday's game is one of those games. Problem is, it is a recurring theme. Clement says we have to learn to start quickly, but this group can't learn, and that's what's cost managers jobs already. I mean, spot on. It has cost managers jobs. It's cost Beale his job, and yes, Beale had his massive flaws in there, but how many managers are we going to go through? Because at the end of the day, the players aren't learning to take these big moments, take these big steps, capitalise on these big opportunities. Of course it's going to cost managers jobs. There's going to become a point, and it might be Clement, it might be another manager, where he wants to come in and goes and says, right, that's the slate clean, we're starting to build from the bottom, and at this point, if we don't gain any silverware this season again, that's an issue that's going to have to be forced upon the board to make these changes, to back Clement and say, right, we're going to get a clean slate. That's, you know, if we can manage to move current players on, and then we're going to build an entirely new spine and an entirely new squad. People disagreed with me yesterday when I said we were poor, but I can't get away from that. We played in the last 20 minutes and huffed and puffed the rest. It wasn't good enough regardless of what stats say. This squad, and its mentality can't seem to be fixed for anyone. Philippe Clement must try to get the best out of it before he can manoeuvre it himself, and that includes big decisions on players brought in over the summer. None of this on him, nor am I suggesting it is. The wage bill is a mess, and we aren't getting the value across the board. So as seasons go on, as more players come in, we seem to be wasting a lot of money, and there's no doubt about that. Sam Lammers is on a decent wage, Dessers is on a decent wage, obviously the other Cifuentes is going to be on a decent wage, and all of these players brought in fees as well, and right now we can't help but feel like that was a complete waste of money. Every fan's going to agree, and at the end of the day, the biggest problem that Rangers have got, Rangers fans can see, is that money being wasted. It's the fact that transfer wise, since 55, we seem to have either stagnated, but now one big mistake in the summer transfer window and we seem to be going backwards. Whilst it doesn't have a negative impact on our chase, the truth is we will never be in a title race until we're able to win games such as yesterday. Aberdeen is tough, but only because we make it. Without the 4 points we have gifted them this year, they would be on bottom of the league, but we approach these games like it's a big game. That's our issue. Harsh or not, that's our reality. Now, before the Aberdeen game, we all knew that when Aberdeen play Rangers, it is a tough game. It always will be a tough game for any team going to Pittodrie. It's going to be a tough game, but it seems to me the players don't really realise that. I mean, how many games against Aberdeen are you going to have before you realise, right, they're going to come at us and they're going to turn up, regardless of if they've got beat 6-0 in previous weeks, they're going to turn up. You cannot sit there and think to yourself, right, we'll just play our game, we'll not be physical, we won't react to the physicality of Aberdeen and the pace of the game. At the end of the day, Aberdeen's going to come at us, they're going to try and play their game, and the objective is to not let them. And we completely failed at that yesterday. So obviously reacting to Rangers fans' comments is a series we do want to continue, and the only way we'll know to continue that is if you guys like it. So make sure to like and subscribe, show your love for that series, leave a comment what you think about it, also leave a comment what you think about the various topics throughout the video, the comments, what I've said, what the tweets have said, and let us know in the comments your opinions on the match. As I said earlier on in the video, the link to the BlueSea memberships, the channel memberships, is in the description along with our socials, and we'll see you next time.